the State of the Union address, with Vice President Dick Cheney and House Speaker Dennis Hastert sitting at his side. George W. Bush makes his case for going to war in Iraq.
Now, in this century, the ideology of power and domination has appeared again and seeks to gain the ultimate weapons of terror. Once again, this nation and all our friends are all that stand between a world at peace and a world of chaos and constant alarm.
Time has come for a long set of lies about the existence of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The president even comes up with imaginary leads.
The British government has learned that Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa.
The U.S. is on a war footing. For Sibel, it's hard to get the media to pay attention.
Americans are a free people who know that freedom is the right of every person and the future of every nation. The liberty we prize is not America's gift to the world. It is God's gift to humanity.
Like this awful time. So I came to this point that nothing was going to happen. And during this time, they had just finished establishing the 9/11 Commission.
We must uncover every detail and learn every lesson of September the 11th.
Keen to mobilize the country in this time of war, the Bush administration creates an independent commission in charge of investigating the 9/11 attacks. This commission is supposed to shed light on the failures of U.S. intelligence before the attacks.
The commission plans to take the public right back to September 11th.
The country waits in anticipation.
This is the only hope we have. This 9/11 Commission report, they're going to say what's wrong. For example, with the FBI translation units, which a lot of things are wrong.
Sibel testifies once again behind closed doors before the commission, still holding on to the hope that her case will eventually be exposed publicly. At that very moment, the White House makes its first mistake.
Condoleezza Rice had just come out and made the statement saying,
I don't think anybody could have predicted that these people would take an airplane and slam it into the World Trade Center.
That was an outrageous lie. I knew the agents. I mean, you look at some of the translation stuff that they had. To say that we had no specific information, that was an outrageous lie. And she's a national security advisor there. And all those people, they report to her to say we didn't have it. So when we came out of one of the 9/11 Commission hearings, 9/11 family members, they just pointed at me and they said, you know, she's one of those people who was outraged with the recent statement by Condoleezza Rice. And suddenly all these cameras started flashing on my face. It's like, well, what do you think of this statement? And I said, well, that was an outrageous lie. And then for the first time, that made all the headlines.
Her name is Sibel Edmonds.
Sibel Edmonds, can you repeat again the information that you have to substantiate?
And I gave an explanation. I said, she said we. We includes National Security Advisor, includes the FBI, the CIA, the NSA. That's what we means. And she said we.
The statements by Sibel Edmonds cast serious doubt in a truth-seeking country. Trapped, left with no choice, Condoleezza Rice has some humiliating explaining to do.
As I said to you in the private session, I probably should have said I could have not imagined, because within 2 days, people started to come to me and say, oh, but there were these reports in 1998 and 1999.
So that was the start of me outside, doing it outwardly, doing it more publicly, and doing it more visibly.
July 24th, 2004, the long-awaited 9/11 Commission report comes out at last. The country is about to know the truth. The 567-page-long report is going to shed real light on 9/11. Alas, Sibel's testimony is not included.
Good morning. My name is Laurie Van Auken. On the morning of September 11th, my husband Kenneth was killed while at his office on the 105th floor of the North Tower at the World Trade Center. The 9/11 Commission's report is supposed to provide the definitive account of what had transpired on September 11, 2001. We hoped that our thousands of unanswered questions would be addressed and answered. Yet incredibly, we have found that the Commission's definitive final report has actually yielded more questions than answers.
That was like, oh, is this what we've been waiting for? Was gonna put all the stuff and say what's wrong with the system and have individual accountability. None of those.
I wanna know who the whistle blows for you.
What we got truly insulted the intelligence of the American people,
Get off the couch,
violated our loved ones' memories,
raise up your hand.
and might end up hurting us one day soon.
What words? Time to take a stand.
I locked myself in this room for 3 days and started reading everything line by line.
Tell me that's just the way that it goes.
I was outraged.
I need to know what Sibel Edmonds knows. So do you.
National security whistleblowers tried to testify before the Commission, but were either not asked to testify or their testimony was only barely acknowledged, or worse yet, completely omitted from the record.
Take off the gag.
They complimented everybody.
Take off the gag. Don't let them hide behind their flag.
So politicians were very happy about it.
Get off the couch. Raise up your hands. It's a war of words. Time to make a stand.
One whistleblower that we made sure the Commission met with was FBI translator Sibel Edmonds.
Tell me, it's just the way that it goes.
Sibel is here.
I need to know what Sibel Edmonds knows. So do you.
This is just the biggest whitewash, and this is not what they promised they were going to give the American public.
There were 3 holes that I could see in this work of fiction. Testimony from people like Sibel Edmonds, the preparedness of our nation, and the crime scene that was 9/11 was certainly not addressed as a crime scene.